Yeah, I probably do eat enough of them, which is not many.
All right, we should be back.
Yeah, enough is a vague term.
Ah,
Ah, ah.
ah.
I'm doing lots of
Are we
old school
back?
stuff
Are we
right now.
back? Are we back?
Should be back. I show
Testing?
that we're streaming
Testing?
live. There we go.
Yeah, we're
are
back.
Everybody's still there?
Oh yeah, we still got all of our people. They know to hold on for a second. They know our record with commercial times. Well,
Do, 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 do,
good boy
do,
TJ,
do.
you crashed us, dude. What the heck?
The dogs are too much for the stream. That's
Dogs
why they
are
haven't
just
put
too
dogs
much.
on Twitch yet, because it just crashes the entire stream.
gotta close the
and
door.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the servers go down because dogs are
Too much
affected.
cuteness.
You cannot handle the doggos.
Can't handle the doggos.
I just want to grab their cheeks, and just, just face.
Face them. All right, we should be
Squish
back.
your face.
I don't know what happened. It just all of a sudden, XSplit decided to say, "Screw you, Gonzo." I'm like, okay, fine.
Screw you guys.
I'm
I'm
going
going
home.
Yeah.
All right, so we're back. That means I got to split those episodes up and get them back together.
Yep.
Yay!
Yay for Eddie.
Hashtag editing.
Nope, I don't edit. I'll probably cut it out.
Oh, come on. It's not hard.
All right, so we're back,
Shadow
and
version's easy, at least. I had to edit both my episodes of Mediocre Trouble and the Big Easy.
which, if you are a
And I
Patreon
love the
subscriber,
name of that.
the episode 00 will be releasing this Saturday with a couple other things if you're a Patreon subscriber. On top of that, we have something coming out pretty much every week for a while. Of course, everything's going to hit Patreon first, and after it's been on Patreon for a little bit, we'll switch it over live for everybody, so you can get it first. And certain things, are Patreon only, which we're working on right now, which we need to talk about some of that stuff later. So, of course,
We won't bore you guys with that.
No, you don't want to hear the boring details on that.
Unless you got some ideas, throw ideas our way. We have a Facebook page. You should like it, you should follow it, and you should tell us ideas.
Yes,
love
we like feedback.
Yes.
But not the audio kind, right? I know, John was just going to say
Right
that
in
too.
front of me.
Yeah.
Good work, good work.
Yeah. So let me go and switch over to the paint cam, and we'll start working on me. I'm still working on my Grimkin, trying to get that done before we get started.
Well, you kind of need them for Merchant Weekend, don't you?
Well, it's decide if I bring them or my K-Door. I'm not sure exactly what I'm
Oh,
going
you
to do.
might change the K-Door right before Merchant Weekend. Holy moly.
Ooh,
Shut
has
up.
the Kador even been tested
You
in
said
battle?
it, not me.
Well, you're not supposed to say it again, John. Jeez.
Nah, you see, you're just playing mind games. I know your game. You're playing mind games.
I play all the games.
It's okay.
All
I'll
the
play
game.
Mercs, so then you can play Mercs.
Yeah, you should just give me all your mercs, and I'll play mercs.
Yes,
So yeah, I just got to work on the rest of this Grimkin because this stuff has to be painted if I'm going to use it.
Do you want some red?
Actually, I think one of our local players is either going to switch to Grimkin or Rhett.
Oh.
And
What crazy model is that?
which one? This one on the table right in front of me?
The Cage
Yeah, the
Rager.
big one. The Cage Rager.
This is the cage that goes on the Cage Rager.
I don't know anything about that.
He's got dead people in these cages, and
That
he
kind
rages.
of
rages.
looks
angry.
like the cage from the GW Giant, sort of. Like a.
Oh yeah.
It was one of my favorite bits from the Giant sprue.
Oh god, I gotta tell story time now.
Story time before we get started.
Time.
Okay.
So, the Giant had been out for almost a year at this point, when at Direct Services at Games Workshop, which is what the mail order trolls became, at least the phone trolls, we got a letter from a concerned customer. Yes, back when snail mail was still a thing. I'm old. Suck it. And it said that they love our models. They're very cool. All this. Lots of praise. And they're like, except for the new Giant, we are upset because it has dead animals on it.
Is that
What?
giant?
There's a dead cow on the Giant sprue, and they are offended by that because they are vegans and they don't believe in killing animals.
But they don't have a problem killing trolls.
Only killing humans in the most bloody way possible.
This is the letter. This is why people are crazy.
People are crazy.
And
Yeah.
so it
People are
goes on for a
crazy.
bit about that and how they want us to change the model so that it no longer has a dead cow on the sprue.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And they emailed direct services in the US, not even the corporate office in Nottingham. Oh no. Direct services in the US. And do you know how much power we have over this kind of thing?
Nothing.
0.
No, Crimson, I do not have
So
that paintbrush.
yeah, so I came in, and in reference to that, my buddy Doug, I'm not going to use last name to protect the innocent and guilty, took his giant, and there's a big piece of masonry on a chain that's its flail. It's a very cool piece.
Mm-hmm.
He cut the masonry off the end of the flail and attached
The
cow.
See, there are so many cool things you can do with all the bits on the giant sprue. That's how I modified my my war boss. Had the best boss pole ever, and it was the signpost with the skeleton on it pointing. Only I put a Imperial Guardsman's helmet on it and cut off the signpost part, and yeah, it really worked well.
That is what I love about playing GW games again is conversions. You may not
Yes.
have to do conversions, but you can, and since they're almost all plastic now, it's not hard.
No, and you can do some
Super
really...
easy now.
This is one of those easy put together models from was it Death Watch, whatever the Death Watch box set was, the
Assault
Overkill,
Marine?
the game. No, they had an Overkill game that was, Gene Stealers versus Death Watch.
Okay, yeah.
And this is one of the models from him. He was a Raven Guard. He had he's the Blood Angel. He had a hand flamer and a sword and like different head, different other arm. There are conversion abilities for these guys, and this is not a model that's supposed to lend itself to conversions because he's, set to put together one way. But I found an extra sword for him. I really, really dig this model. And that's what I love about playing GW games right now. And it is something that with the competitive bent of War Machine and Hordes, you can't do. And it's understandable.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to confuse somebody. Being clear about what you're playing against is important.
Especially with that game.
Yeah, any game, it's important. War Machine and Hordes, so much more so.
Yeah.
It is not a game where you can do I don't care what your stuff does, I'm just going to do my thing.
Correct.
And that's fine, because that's the way that game works. Some other games, you don't have to know beyond a basic idea of what's threatening, what your opponent's stuff does, or how hard it is to kill. You just need to know, like, all right, how far is it threat? What are the cool rules? What does it take to kill it? That's all you need to know in a lot of those GW games, because they're going for basic. They don't want you to have to study every book, it makes them great, great casual games. Because you don't need to know all that stuff. You're just like, I'm good. I have the basics of what your stuff does. I can just send my unit over to murder you now. I just need to know what you do in the basic sense so I can know which unit I need to send to murder.
Yeah.
War Machine and Hordes, you need to know so much more because there's so much more to it. And honestly, it's daunting.
Oh, look out. Crimson's getting on the high horse. They say you can do lots of conversions in War Machine. I find it a lot easier to tell the difference and would much rather play against an army that is fully painted and has a bunch of cool conversions than a giant blob of black primer.
Well, let me say this from the heart, Crimson 1919. Preach it, brother. Preach it.
The biggest problem with conversions of War Machine and Hordes is the ruling on how you'd have to do it.
Didn't ClogCon do something like they...
Oh, can we go off on a small little thing real quick before we
Yeah,
get out
Off
of that
on a thing about ClogCon.
Yeah.
I'm interested because I only heard they did something and now there's a problem, and I want to know what this is from. Decide where my rant should go.
Okay, so ClogCon happened this weekend, of course.
Yep.
Finishing up right now, I think, or no, it's over. And I guess overseas, Black Industries, the Black Anchor stuff, is hard to get overseas right now. So it's really hard to get all the huge base type stuff.
And expensive.
And very,
Hard
very
and
expensive.
expensive.
Yeah. Which is understandable. And so somebody fielded a boat they found and then put Styxus Raiders on it. And this boat is like a normal type toy boat that you would put like in a bathtub look.
Okay.
So not to scale, maybe.
No,
I
100%.
know what this is going to.
And put 3 Styxus or 4 Styxus people on it and cannons, and called it Scar 3.
Huh.
Job's a good one.
And I guess the convention allowed it because it is almost near impossible to get that stuff overseas.
I'd allow it.
So there's a big thread about it. There's a big hoopla. If the TO says it's okay, it's okay. And I understand why they're saying it's okay. It's not that the person doesn't have the model. The person can't get the model.
Yeah.
Not being able to get a model should never stop you from playing it. Let's say something like who is it? The Colby mechanic from the
Colby
that
Sterling
came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can't get her because she was released in only a limited amount, and there was only that limited model at first, you should still be able to play her because it's a model in the game, and this game is about competitiveness.
Which, talking about that, if you find me at War Machine Weekend and you walk up to me and show me that you posted on our Facebook page that you got Colby'd at War Machine Weekend with Gonzo, I will give you a copy of the special edition one.
You're killing me, Gonzo. I don't even have that model. So do it, everyone. Post on our Facebook page. Get your cool model. I
only have one. Here's the thing. I only have one because I gave the other one away on the podcast. Erica has graciously donated hers that she got as the reward for volunteering last year. So if you find me at War Machine Weekend and you are the first person to find me and post a selfie and saying you got Colby'd at War Machine Weekend with Gonzo, I will give you that model for free.
Awesome.
With the metallic card.
Sweet.
Ooh.
So back to ClogCon. So they let this go and people got their panties in a bunch?
A lot of people got their panties in a bunch. Because technically, per the Steamroller packet, it is not a legal model. So should not have been able to been used. But I guess the TOs allowed it because they can't get those models overseas right now.
So everyone knows which my rant would take on this, and it is, if you're upset about this, fuck you.
And the thing is,
get over it. It's a game. Yes, it's competitive. You guys have a hard time getting that model. You should not make someone break the bank to get a model that the company making it has made difficult to get. Not through their own fault, just through how things import.
yeah.
It's just the reality of how things import through countries sometimes. It's hard to get the model. You need to make exceptions for that. Because if not, you're not playing against what your opponent wants to play. And how competitive is that?
Here's the thing. The TO said it was fine. He had every single weapon on the boat.
Yep.
He had every single one of the models on there. And the TO said okay. If the TO says it's okay, it's okay. That's something.
TO is final arbiter in everything.
Yeah.
Rules questions. If you can't show it in black and white to your TO that that's a rule, whatever he says is law.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, you're going to have to find it in print.
Yeah. So I mean, for all intents and purposes, the TO said it was fine because of the reason behind what we discussed, and everybody else that they played against, from what I understand, were okay with it too.
Because who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally. So I love you guys. I love almost all you guys.
Almost.
Because you guys don't really care. You guys just want to play a game.
Yeah.
Even with the whole, how competitive it is, you guys just want to play a good game. You guys embrace the spirit of what used to be Page 5. You want someone to bring their best game every time. And if that means they have to convert something that they can't get and make it look right so that you can play against it, that's their best game. You guys are good with that, and I love that. But the guys who are not good with it, apparently most of them aren't there, they could definitely go fuck themselves. Like, I'm not going to pull punches. You guys are the problem. You need to go play chess.
Yeah.
Go play chess, go play Go. There are games for you guys. You guys are obviously more competitive than a miniatures game is going to function with.
Yeah, yeah.
But
That's a
like I
good
said,
point.
the TO said it was okay.
Yep.
You can't do it. Now, here's the difference. If he would have put Scar 1 on the base and said it was Scar 3 and it was only Scar 1, that's misleading. And I can
No,
understand not
no,
saying
that's not
that.
fair. A boat with Scar on it, we all know what on the appropriate size base, we know what that is.
Correct. But I'm saying if he just put a Scar and nothing else on there, not a boat or anything else, just
Oh yeah, no,
Scar.
but if you put Scar, no, honestly, a Scar on a huge base, it's uncool. I would be okay either way with that. If they allow it 'cause it's hard to get, or if they disallow it because you didn't actually try, I'm okay either with that. That is purely, I think, TO's discretion.
Yeah.
The TO, I think, did what we would call the right thing.
Yeah. He's like, no, we understand because they physically cannot get the model there
Yeah, I mean,
yet.
or at a cost that's worth it. I mean, money is not an infinite thing. Trust me, I know. We have to look at that. So yeah, there's CloudCon, and and if you guys have a problem with it, and you want to discuss it with me in a reasonable format, and I swear I will not just throw f-bombs at you. I'm happy to discuss it. I will discuss anything with you guys. I would love to hear. I like myself as a fairly overall level-headed guy and willing to listen to both sides of a discussion and hear what your guys' side is. Yeah. But let's be honest, it's a game.
Yeah.
With toy soldiers.
Yeah.
If you take it that seriously, there are games for you. They are much more competitive. I suggest you look into them because that's probably what you're really looking for.
Yeah. So, just a little thing. So it was an interesting topic. I watched it and was just reading things and stuff, and there was some hate on both sides. So I was like, I'm not worried about it.
And Xander Broad says, really now it only matters if you're going to stream the models. And actually, it only matters if Privateer Press is going to stream the models.
Correct.
If we were there streaming stuff, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. We'd be like, oh, look at this guy's cool conversion he made since he can't get Scar 3 over here.
Yep.
It's hard to get. He couldn't afford, it's too much money, too hard to get. It actually is indicative of a bigger problem, but I'm not going to throw shade at PP about this because, they're really doing the best they can with those models. They can't afford to have them sit on the shelves at stores. It hurts everyone. And it's hard to ship things overseas at a cost-effective rate. It really is. Yeah, and I agree, Crimson 1919. The best way to avoid this issue is make your conversion look as awesome and paint it up nice. Damn right.
And which is cool, but I recognize as somebody who's judged many Warhammer Fantasy Tournament armies that not everyone is capable of making a conversion look awesome and painting it up nice. But I give points for trying.
Effort.
Yeah.
You put effort in. You put. I don't even care if you didn't ask anyone for help. If you put all the effort you are personally able to put into a model, you gave it your all, you're going to get a high five, a good job, and go to it, boy, because that's all I can expect from anyone.
Yeah, and I have always liked the, if the concept is really cool, and maybe the execution doesn't win you best overall, but I will always like a really good, concept, even if it isn't, technically perfect.
So my buddy Ed Framer he spent a lot of money years ago on making sea elves, and he entered them in a Golden Demon competition. And now his painting style is very odd. He's closer to John Blanche than he is away from it. And so he didn't win anything, but they were like, what the hell are you doing here? And he's like, I'm making something cool and inventive. And some of the judges, this is back when GW had their people from the UK come over and judge it, some of their judges didn't understand. They weren't really getting it. I think the other one who did was Jess Goodwin, because Jess Goodwin's a cool dude. But you have to understand, people put effort into stuff. They went the extra mile to convert something cool. And look at that. I miss that from hobbies, which is, Star Wars Legion, you can't get that from Star Wars Legion. There's only so much conversions you can get for now. until they make until they make some cool stuff. When you get some more generic stuff, like I got some troopers. I'm sure you guys have seen them on my hobby streak. Troopers with alternate heads. I took off old WotC models. Those are cool conversions. That's all you need. Just put a little effort into it. Looks cool. There's some stuff you can do here or there. And, but I miss a game with all the conversion possibility. Like Age of Sigmar, I've been taking Like literally, I take one-piece models, and I'm like, can I make this a conversion? Or easy to put together models. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. But I try.
Yeah, I converted my entire Blood Bowl team. I used to love converting stuff when I was playing Warhammer Fantasy and 40K and stuff. I never
Mhm.
wanted to leave a model, just be the plain out of the box model. Now, my time is a little more limited, and sometimes, like with the Gellerpox, I'm like, I don't really know about Kill Team. I haven't played a game of it yet. I don't know what the rules are, so I don't feel like I can do a conversion because, I don't know what's what. At least with my Nurgle team, I already had a working knowledge of the rules of Blood Bowl, so I knew Big Hand is a great mutation to give one of my guys.
Yep.
So I can convert him with the ridiculously big hand, or give a guy extra heads because that was
That's an
another
ability
mutation,
thing you could do.
So,
So Gellerpox are cool because they are what they are. You don't need to convert them all. If anything, you would take a second set you may come across and convert them to become other things. But in any case, conversions fit right into our theme of what you do in the winter because that's one of the things you can do when you're sitting at home during the winter is you can convert some models.
Yeah, just mixing up some green stuff and filling some gaps after you glue some ridiculous bit onto some other ridiculous model where it doesn't make sense until you actually throw some green stuff on it and push it around.
Don't be intimidated by green stuff, everyone. People are intimidated. It's easy. Put it together, put it in there, and then just follow the lines that come from the part before it.
Yeah,
or
and I
follow
always
the lines of the part after it.
I always keep a little bottle cap full of water on the table next to where I'm working so that I can always stick my sculpting tools into the water and and go back to the surface, because the green stuff is very sticky and it'll stick to your tools. And we all know that, and that's one of the things that people find very difficult to work with. But and there's some people that say add a little Vaseline or add a little olive oil or something. I haven't actually tried that. I just use water and
I've seen spit used. It was disgusting.
I've seen that too.
It was on a break room table at Games Workshop. But, hey, do what you do.
It happens.
Yeah. Just do that. But Alexander Roy said, winter is a time to repair, repaint, and rest.
Yeah.
And that's it. I actually, not being much in painting right now, I find winter is a horrible time to get my desk and be ready to paint because it's harder to spray prime, and that's where it becomes the big thing. With the weather changing, the colder temperatures, the moisture temperatures a lot of times, it's difficult to spray prime models.
That actually is why before we got the airbrush, that's why Jim and I were brush-on priming everything. We had all this Stynylrez primer, which works just as good with a brush as it does with an airbrush. And in fact, all these Gellerpox I brush-on primed.
I can confirm. Even the Vallejo stuff works fine with a brush. That's what I use right now because I don't have an airbrush.
Yep.
It's a good time to paint. And honestly, if you get that last good day that you're free, that last good day of fall. We had a decent one today. Maybe a better one coming. Go out and just spray a bunch of your stuff. And so I have my old buddy John Connor. No, not the guy hunted by the Terminator.
Yep.
An old GW guy. He would take time and he would put his primer and his models all in the same environment, leave them there for a while so they become about the same temperature to help prevent fuzzing. It's a trick you can do. It doesn't work with super cold temperatures because really you don't want to be spraying at super cold temperatures if you can help it. Those of you in the south, you have a very limited point where you can spray because you go from humid, you might have a little bit of fall, and then you become, winter's still normal and a little wetter. So, good luck.
Which I just recently went to my local store and I was like, hey, I need you to pick up the Stynylrez black and white so I can prime indoors. Because I've actually liked doing that more than the rattle can right now.
Absolutely. We got our airbrush, and on Amazon they sell these little what do you call them? It's like a hood.
Extractor
it's like
fans?
a ventilation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've got this thing that, and it just fits right on your table, and you just put your thing in there and turn it on and
I know
prime
the
your
exact
stuff.
one.
And
They have two of
yeah,
them at the local store. L Marshall's got one. It's great.
it's
PD's got
really
one.
handy. And
Yeah.
you still want a ventilator mask for yourself if you're going to be doing a lot of priming. But you don't have to go outside. You don't have to worry about fuzzing on your models, and Stynylrez has a ton of different colors from varying from light colors to dark colors in the value. So if you want to do something dark that's not black, they have a dark brown. They have a gray. They have a sort of a dusty rose color, which is weird, you think, but there are some other. You can put some colors on top of that dusty rose that actually make it look cool.
Yeah.
And there's a mid-range blue value. There's some lighter colors. They have a huge range of colors. They also have a metallic primer, which is like a silver metallic.
At some point, all you really need is something for the paint to adhere to. And the primer is designed to adhere to the model better. And then you adhere to the primer and, Bob's your uncle, as they say.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was something, because I recently went to my local store and it says, hey, can you get this primer for me? And I'm like, I have definitely enjoying the priming from my airbrush more than anything right now. It doesn't go on as gloopy. It's not as thick. It's got a nice thin coat.
The art of spray can priming is actually an art.
Yeah.
Like, it requires actual skill. It's surprising and strange to hear that. It seems like, I just sprayed, it's good. No, sir. There's a lot that goes into it, and airbrush is way easier.
Yeah.
Manny and I are actually thinking about taking one of the extra rooms and turning it into a quasi studio with an airbrush hood and all we could put right in front of the window. Seems like it would be a good idea.
Wait, you're going to try to paint?
That was sort of the whole point of getting a desk. I do actually paint. I have painted models. That is sort of the goal, to paint the models. I like to paint the models. One cannot just assemble models for 365 days. Though I'm going to try.
And then not prime them and paint them.
Exactly. So I actually did a little bit of painting during this whole thing, a couple times at the local store. But I really want to start painting stuff because I don't want to just keep accumulating more and more models because holy fuck, I have a lot of models.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Which after I'm done painting these, I'm going to work on my Lord of the Rings stuff. Put them together.
I really want to get some knights painted. Those are my first thing because I play 40k for the knights. Everything else is just details. And we got to paint Aximilian because Aximilian deserves paint because he's the bestest doggo ever.
A dog.
Exactly. And I actually want to paint the rest of that crew because, they can play in 40k. I can run them around with my knights. It seems like it'd be fun.
And they are cool models.
They're very cool models. And then we'll go from there. I've been keeping stuff to work with my knights and all. We'll see what we can do. I have this idea of painting some catechins up in a sort of alien, camos thing. Because GW has those alien trees and all.
I see pink in your alien camo, like purple or pink somewhere in that.
Wasn't thinking of that, but I'll give it a thought. Because I'm going to paint up a batch of the trees first, see what they end up looking like, see what looks good for them, and then go and put that sort of camo scheme on the catechins. Which reminds me, I need to pick up Sly Marlboro because they just re-released him, and I want Sly Marlboro.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that they re-released him already.
Which is good because I like Sly Marlboro. He was always cool, and now he's actually terrifying also.
That is awesome. He wasn't the guy that could have a squad come in on a different table edge, was he?
No, he always came in by himself and had a demo charge, and generally we'd see him show up, blow up a tank, and then see if he could survive long enough to do anything else.
Okay, it was a different special guy who had some ability for sneaking in undercover. It's been so long though. It was a long time.
Yeah, they changed rules so many times since then. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I actually, as a fan of Iron Hands Draken, because catechins are awesome because they're all Rambo. And the models may not be great, but they're all Rambo. It's okay.
Yeah.
And there's some conversion ability in them because they're old. I have done all sorts of special weapons with them, and Just cut weapons out. Like, all right, let's get rid of this flamer. Let's get this guy a melt-a-gun or grenade launcher, whatever the hell I want. Steal weapons from the other sprues and go.
What other painting things do we need to look out for winter, Kathy? I mean, I know, of course, we talk about priming and sealing, because the sealing is going to have to be the same way. But what about paints?
There's a lot of people that, and I'm just mentioning this, there's a lot of people that are prepping their armies for Las Vegas Open and Adepticon over the winter. And that's their road to those conventions.
Hey, Congo. Yeah, because, I mean, especially if you have a big project, like I'm going to be working on certain things and I want to have it all painted up for a large convention, which I can't go to Adepticon this year. But if I was going to go to Adepticon and I'm not going to play my current standing War Machine army, I would start doing that now. Because that, especially if I'm going to be playing something brand new, like if I'm going to be playing
yourself
plenty of time.
You want to give yourself time to practice, get some practice games in.
Oh, yeah, of course, on top of that. But I mean, there's a lot of things you have to worry about when it comes to getting your models ready. And this is the winter, especially if you're in a place that snows a lot and you can't drive everywhere. This is definitely time to get that going and make sure it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's a good time to start planning the convention season for next year.
Yep. Looking at your budget, too.
Yeah,
how much can you?
What do you think you can do? Figure out, what outstanding things you expect to do, because it's about the time you'll start noticing if your vehicle needs to get some work and all too, because winter is a good time to get some stuff done.
Well, and Xander brought up a good thing, burnout time. I know that after War Machine weekend, I really don't feel like playing any War Machine games. Because I'm either running a ton of War Machine events or playing a ton of War Machine events, and I'm like, I'm kind of burnt out right now, and I need to play something else. And so I've got games. I've got Lord of the Rings lined up. I've got Age of Sigmar lined up. I kind of want to get, after this Kill Team, besides the Lord of the Rings done, a Gasland campaign done.
Oh, yeah.
Which, if anybody knows what Gasland is, it's the you take Hot Wheels and Mad Max them up and you race them around, and I'd like to do a circuit thing with that, and that would be pretty freaking cool.
That would be cool, yeah. They're doing a demo of Fallout at our local game store next week, I think.
Uh-oh. I know Congo's ears just perked up. He heard Fallout.
Yeah, so they have Fallout there, and last week the owner of the store was putting his together. I suppose that was for demos and
probably.
So that'll be interesting.
It's good to note that as an event organizer, the holidays are the times to do one-off events, not campaigns, because a lot of people go away for Thanksgiving and or Christmas, and you'll lose them for some weeks. So, like right now, it'd be a great time to start an event as far as nothing going on, but a lot of people wouldn't make it to the whole event, so be careful with that.
Yeah.
My friend used to do a one-day fantasy tournament called the Fluffy Bunny Tournament, and it was a tournament where you donate food and no one takes themselves seriously.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all just about, he comes up with these, like each game is some ridiculous, crazy, fluffy not campaign, but it's scenario, and so you have to follow these whatever wacky things he has set, but it's very much not serious, and it's always a lot of fun.
It sounds like a food machine type thing.
Yeah, let's say it's food machine time also. Devil Squid used to run his winter War Machine tournament where the entry was a couple bucks for the store and then a wrapped War Machine model of certain value or higher. And it was sort of like a white elephant for the prizes. You'd go in reverse order. Everyone would grab something, and you either keep it or when you go, you either take something from someone who went already and let them go pull a present, or you go get a random one.
Oh, so Dirty Santa style?
Well, yeah, white elephant, yeah, that sort of thing.
We call him Dirty Santa.
The one I remember I won, and as winner I went up. One one of the kids had gotten something he really liked. Someone took it from him. So I took that from the other guy, said, pick the other prize, and handed it back to the kid and said, there you go, kid. Because you don't do that. If someone's excited for something, you let them keep it. Especially if it's a kid.
Crimson says, do a Secret Santa for painted models. And I've seen groups do that, too.
Mhm.
That can be fun amongst a painting group.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Xander also said painting terrain is a good thing to do in the off-season.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, if Gonzo hadn't painted all that terrain earlier, he could do that, but...
I haven't painted
I'm sure
anything.
there's more terrain that can be painted.
I'm still working
I know
on
there
that
is
kill
around
team.
here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
I still have Kill Team terrain to assemble. I've got the one piece I put together. I'm actually going to have El Marshall work up some add-on parts for it with his 3D printer. Because I want it to look cooler. And then plan on buying some more because I want to be able to play games local, in the house.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of planning time is good. A lot of building, a lot of taking the chill. Hanging out at friends' places, especially if you live near, if you're driving an hour to go to the game store, but you can go like 20 minutes to your friend's house, especially maybe a little bit safer. That's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always good, hanging out with your friends, and especially if you I have a folding travel table that I can take with me wherever I want to go, so I can take that.
I think my 4x6 will
idea.
fit in the car. I mean, not in the trunk. Nothing fits in the trunk right now.
I know Jim always takes models to prep wherever it is that we go. In fact, Halloween we're going over to our friend's house to just get out of the city because, when you work out of your house and people start ringing the doorbell at 1:00 in the afternoon and don't stop until 9:00 at night, it's very difficult to get work done.
Very difficult, I would say. Absolutely. That's why we don't turn the light on here, and we're just gonna chill. And I'm gonna be up here watching some videos. Got to have
Yeah.
my playlist of music videos I need to see, which include like Thriller and Ghostbusters and the Monster Mash and stuff like that.
So we'll be going over to our friend's house out in the
Werewolves of London.
suburb and watching Hocus Pocus and Cabin in the Woods and,
Awesome.
the usual stuff. But Jim will be bringing stuff to prep.
Well,
I
I mean,
may bring stuff to prep too, but I might end up playing card games.
Just give the kids each a Space Marine. That is cruel and unusual punishment because then they're going to want more.
well, I mean, Kathy brings up a good thing is going out to hang out with your friends to do stuff. There's a lot of times you don't have to, bring a bunch of stuff. You can bring card games. I know I keep a couple of small card games with me at all times in my car.
Winter
have a
weekends
deck-
are great for board games too.
Yeah.
I have a deck of card in my bag at all times, just in
Yep.
case.
You got to play some Hearts.
I actually we were waiting for some other people to finish their board game before we started playing Zombicide, and so I whipped out my cards and we just played War.
I mean, if it's two people, war works.
Yep.
I hadn't played War in forever, but it was very silly.
I haven't played Wars since Magic was invented.
Ooh, Shadow Fist.
Oh
Nice.
yeah. So, Banian and I both have a bunch of Shadowfist cards. Not Brushhead Dave also has a ton of Shadowfist cards, and he apparently broke them out after I mentioned we were looking at them and is starting to work on them again. So, and that game actually is apparently still going somehow.
I don't know what Shadow Fist is. Who makes it?
I don't know right now. It was originally Daedalus Entertainment. They're defunct. Then Zev from Z-Man Games grabbed him and was doing some stuff for him for a while, and then they went somewhere else. Or maybe Zev left. I don't remember. If only I had a magical thing I could
Device.
use.
An oracle that you could ask that would give you many answers.
But I mean, bringing out stuff like that, games you haven't played in a while, especially smaller games, is really good for the winter time to hang out with friends and stuff. You can get plenty of that stuff done. Especially things that you miss playing. You're like, oh man, that used to be a cool game. Why don't we play it? And you can bring out small stuff to do that. And there's nothing wrong with doing smaller stuff.
So I just joined an online league for Age of Sigmar Champions, the
Uh-huh.
new card game. Some guys are running an online league that starts tomorrow, actually. And it just runs through the end of November, and so it's 4 weeks, and all you do is play 3 games against other people who are in the league each week. And I'm like, I can play 3 games a week in casual. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
absolutely can do that. And if you get enough points, you get into the raffle for a booster box of the next wave of cards that's coming out at like the end of November, early December.
A whole booster box.
A whole box.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's money.
Right before Christmas, that's dirty pool.
Yeah.
Yep. So everybody who's in that community is pretty excited about that, and
Cool.
it'll be fun to get some games in with some
New
other
people.
people besides just random casual games.
It's a good time to get a lot of stuff done. If you get some weekend, like those long, weekends occasionally, or those long times off, if you take them, good time for some role playing. If you can get a crew together. Since a lot of people have holidays off, it's a good time to get that crew that can't normally all get together at once and play a good one-shot.
Yeah.
We're planning to do that for some friends of ours are doing that for D&D Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Boom. There you
Yeah.
go.
So I mean, there's plenty of stuff to do. You just got to figure out where to do it and who to do it with, because where the people that are housebound are going to have to stay housebound.
Are you sure
I
that
always
goes there,
find
Gonzo?
it
Yep.
the people that
That
have
disclosure is a little
kids
too
are
close.
the most housebound, and we don't have kids, so we're happy to go over to their house always.
Yep.
If
Mhm.
they've got kids and it's hard for them to get around, absolutely, I'm gonna go over to their house and not make them come over to my house.
Yeah, absolutely. We have one of the overall crew has small child, and I'd be willing to go over to his house occasionally, since it turns out I'm not as allergic to cats as I thought, and hang out and do stuff. Just need to plan better.
Well, also, Xander just said, he's sitting there saying that the off-con season isn't really off for some people because they're working on it.
Yeah,
And
or
don't
very
we know
short,
it?
because
Yeah.
let's be honest, November is War Machine Weekend, and then February is Captain Con in the old spot that other con used to take, and my brain just stopped.
Is that in New England, Captain Con?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the other one, Gonzo? Save
Well, the
me.
Las Vegas Open is really soon too, and
That's
Las
in
Vegas Open.
February. Las Vegas Open is in February. GaryCon is a small gaming convention in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which, of course, is sort of a throwback to the early Gen Con.
It's a big War Machine Con. It was in February every year in Rhode Island. They moved to the middle of the year.
TempleCon?
TempleCon. Thank you, Kathy.
yeah, I had no clue. Yeah, but I mean, there's people. Those people are still working on their conventions and getting everything set and make sure everything is done correctly, because it takes a lot of work to do that stuff.
It does.
And
It's-
Xander's asking Adepticon. That's at the end of March.
Yeah.
Or mid to late March. I don't remember the date.
Yeah, which I can't go because y'all changed the week that it was on.
Aw, it's so sad.
Yeah, because it was during all my spring break time, so I could go no matter what. And this year, it's the week before spring break, so I'm like, well, poop.
Well, I'm
Can't
not
go.
going to taunt Gonzo by saying I could probably go and say I can't go.
March 27th to the 31st.
So that's the one that I can't go to. But I'm thinking about maybe going to Gen Con if I can find a good room with somebody and so on and so forth. Because I can drive out there. I ain't got a problem with that.
If you can
Yeah.
drive it, that sounds good. I'm not
Yeah.
going to Gen Con just because.
It's expensive as shit.
Too many
That-
people?
Oh, I mean, I'm a 300-pound guy. There are not too many people. I make my way through crowds easily.
Yeah, I've had people try that on me.
Oh, I try not to do that, but if people aren't going to move,
They aren't going to move.
they're going to move.
I've been standing at the edge of a booth last year looking at a rack of books, and I'm only like a foot away from this rack of books. I'm not like out in the middle of the aisle staring at things. And then somebody just like gently backed into me enough to like push me into this rack of books. And then just like walked off, and I'm like, well, that was weird and didn't say excuse me or anything. That's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. It's people need to look at that stuff more. But but Gen Con doesn't seem like my kind of con. It's very. God, this sounds very. I'm gonna sound hipster and terrible. It's very fucking mainstream. It's not what I want. I want to hang out with my buddies, have a good time.
Yeah.
Mid to large size. War Machine Weekend when I went was great. It's about the size I want, maybe a little larger.
Origins is fun for that.
Yeah.
Although they don't have a ton of war game.
I went to Origins
stuff.
Twice. Once it was in Baltimore, once it was in Philly back when it used to move.
Now, I like Gen Con for the vendor because there's some people that are there just trying to get their product out, and it's nice to sit and talk with them and get new product and see new stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what I like about it, too. And I was talking to somebody just last night who used to go to Gen Con all the time when it was smaller. And I'm like, and he's thinking about going again. And I'm like, I've been to conventions. I've seen all the things that are at the front of the exhibitors hall. I know what Paizo offers.
Yeah.
I know what, the Catan stuff is about. I know what Fantasy Flight Games is doing. I know what Cool Mini or Not is doing. I know what all these people are doing.
Yeah.
So I'm hoofing it immediately. As soon as I get in there, I'm hoofing it all the way to the back end where the Entrepreneur's Alley is, because those are the people that have things I've never seen.
Correct. Games that they just brought out and they're trying to get the word out and trying to get bigger, and I'm like, I want those guys.
Yeah,
but honestly,
those
you've been
are
at
the most...
any con, because anyone who's local to that con is going to try and show up.
Yeah, those are the most interesting things, are the entrepreneurs that are just trying to get their new game made.
Absolutely.
Sorry. Saw something and I was like, what was? What time is it? It is 4 minutes till. Let's go and switch over to media section. And we'll get our stuff going. Media section. It's the media time, where we talk about random bullshit. Media
Not
time.
entirely random bullshit.
Okay.
Quasi-random.
I have roughly 3 things to talk about. John?
I have nothing.
Did I talk about Replacement Killers last week?
No.
I didn't?
I don't think so.
Yes, you did.
Wait, what was it about?
I did. It was Chow Yun Fat.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
good. Then I have 2 things to talk about.
Okay.
I couldn't remember. It was still my DVD player. I'm like, did I talk about this last week? I don't even remember. I must have been drunk.
Yeah.
I was.
You were. As always. Always. So
this drink's maybe a bit too aggressive for me.
I guess I will go with my first one. And it is a media review of the game Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm going to run a video game because I played the entire crap out of it yesterday. Finished the main storyline.
But did you do it in a corgi onesie?
No, I did it in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. And that was it.
It doesn't count until you do it in a corgi onesie, apparently.
And so I did that, and I went through the entire story mode. Let's just say this game has a crap ton of things to do. Even though you may have gotten through the entire game, story-wise, you probably have about 40 more hours of gameplay minimum to do things in there. There is a ton of stuff to do in this game. Widely, too many things to do. I look at it and I'm like, there is no way that I'm going to be able to get through all of this. So I'm going to get through the story and then trade it in because Red Dead 2 came out and I need that more than anything.
Wait, you don't have it already?
I don't have it. I have a policy for myself that if I'm playing a video game,
are upset with you.
Yeah, my thing is if I have a game and I'm playing it, I beat it first before I go and trade it in and just get a few bucks back on it. Because I just need that to happen. That way it saves me money. Don't have to, blow a whole bunch of money. But I played through the entire story setting of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. A lot of the side stuff you should still do because it opens up the story, tells about different things. The game is really cool. The setting is, of course, in Greece between Spartan and Athenians, the battle between them. It has a lot of name characters, Socrates, Hippocrates, all that stuff. You meet all those. You meet a ton of historical figures, which is really cool. But I was kind of let down by the ending.
Are we buffering again?
No, we're
Maybe
fine.
it's just me.
Yeah, why is there no chat? I mean,
Nobody has said anything.
No, I
Oh.
mean I'm buffering.
Oh,
so
okay.
It could just be me.
Yeah.
could be.
But, I mean, for the most part, it was really, really solid. Except for the final part of the game. The problem I had with the end of the game was it was kind of a letdown. I was, like, expecting more to the story, and I'm like, at the end of the single player, it just kind of keeps going. Like, all right, you got him. Yay. You need to make sure you do this other stuff that are not part of the main story. I get it, I understand, which lets me still play the rest of the game, but I wanted more closure for the ending story. But great graphics, really cool fighting things. Nothing is more fun than fighting a bunch of bad guys on the edge of a cliff and Spartan kicking their ass off.
This is Sparta!
And I said that quite a few times as I was kicking people off the edge. I see that video of some of it. It sounds like a typical Assassin's Creed. The funny thing is some of the side stuff you do opens up more of the history of the alien part of Assassin's Creed, which I was like, really, that's cool. I want to know about this. I really kind of want an ending to the Assassin's Creed story. You can do other stuff, but I want more stuff. The background stuff of why things are like this and who they were and blah, blah, blah. It was good. I would probably give it 1 space herpes if it's not your thing. 1 space herpes as a Assassin's Creed game. 2 to 2.5 if you don't like Assassin's Creed games, because this is a long fucking game. I can't wait for the next one, which I believe they're going to be doing feudal Japan, or possibly, having ninjas and samurai. I don't know. They're kind of hinted about that, which I think would be an incredibly awesome use of it. So, I give it 1 space herpes. So, John, whatever you're doing next. I gotta drink some water.
We'll do them in reverse order. Even though I'm going to review this on the minis and movies here in about 3 episodes or so, I bought it and watched it today. That would be Expendables 3. The reason I bought it and watched it because I found a video a guy made on YouTube of it, clips from all 3 movies set to music, and it was so much better than the movies were, but I felt like I needed to watch the movies. And so knowing Expendables 3 and Bane and I were sitting there, I'm like, what the hell? I'll just buy this and watch it. And Expendables 3 is easily the best one in that series. Easily. It fits a lot of good stuff into its running time. It's not perfect. It's very enjoyable. I love all the new characters they add on for the most part. I mean, some of them don't do too much, but they're all at least interesting. Every character has a couple moments that they get to shine, which is impressive with a cast this big. I mean, because you've got all the original, 5 Expendables or 6 Expendables. Doing math, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, I mean, Yin Yang shows up for a little bit. They do a lot more with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is good. Overall, it's just a really enjoyable, fun action movie. Mel Gibson's a great villain. I enjoy the crap of it. I think Antonio Banderas sort of steals the scene most of the times he's in it, even if he is somewhat obnoxious at certain points. But, man, I do really enjoy the movie. I'm glad I got it. Surprisingly, it's actually... You can only get it on DVD or Blu-ray if you buy a 3-pack, so I just bought it through Amazon Prime. I'm going to do a more in-depth review of it for minis and movies, but I like it. I give it 1.5 space herpes. It's not quite to a 2, but it is not quite down to a 1. Yeah, Crimson 1919. Mel Gibson is a great villain. He also plays one in the movie. No, Xander, there are no Mel Gibson no Chuck Norris jokes in this one. That's 2. And I'll get to that later, but that's sort of the failing of that movie. I feel like this movie sort of hit it all right. They had the whole thing where they're like, he's worried all his friends are going to get killed, so he's like, we're done. He gets new people he doesn't care about. They get captured. He ends up caring about them and having to go in and rescue them because that's who Sylvester Stallone's character is. And just enjoyable. I mean, the ending of the movie, the last, I don't know how long, but the whole last bit of it is one giant fight that's just cool. Everyone gets to do stuff, maybe a little weighted towards the named guys, a little more Jason Statham. Wesley Snipes is also a great addition to it. He's amusing. Jason Statham's always cool. It's just fun action movie. This is more of an 80s, 90s throwback than the other two were. And enjoyable. Like I said, 1.5 Space Herpes. Check it out if you haven't seen it. You do not necessarily need to see the first two, but it wouldn't hurt. So, there you go. Kathy, you said you got nothing?
Yeah, and it's just probably for the best because my internet is just having a meltdown right here for some reason. I don't even know how I'm still on Skype.
Fair enough. Gonzo, hit us then.
Sorry. Hold on. Sorry about that. I finished all of Daredevil. I only had like 3 episodes left. Netflix Daredevil, of course. Finished it up, and the last 3 episodes were really good. Overall, all of the cast had much bigger roles this season. Foggy just wasn't there. Everybody just wasn't there. Everybody had roles to play and things to do, and were relevant to this story. I really dug that they had the original Daredevil suit, and then of course he has his Frank Miller suit, which is the black suit. It fit really well. I'm glad Kingpin was back. I can't remember the guy's name. We'd said it last time. That plays Kingpin, but I really liked him in the series.
Vincent D'Onofrio?
Yes. He was really, really good. He plays that role really well. Really like him a lot in that. What's weird is, as I'm watching it, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, this is really cool. They got Daredevil, and, it's the end of the season. And I'm like, they could have just ended the series right then and there, and it would have been just fine. So I was like, are they going to stop and not make another one because Disney, Marvel take over their own streaming service?
It's possible.
I'm like, that's a good possibility.
I heard good things about Joanna Whaley in it. Then she plays Sister Maggie.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've liked Joanna Whaley since Willow, and then she was also in Navy SEALs. As funny as that is.
No, yeah, she was really good. She has some good lines in there. Some really good funny bits. I really liked her in there. She was
cool.
Solid. But I mean, overall, it was really, really good. 0 Space Herpes for me. Well worth the watch. Well worth it. Highly recommend it. Definitely. I would like more, but I understand that something could come up and they may not because it's it's the Disney streaming thing. They may not do it. I don't know.
Yeah, it depends on the contract. I mean, obviously, none of us know what the contract looks like. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Either way, it was really good, really solid. I'd give it 0 Space Herpes. If you like season 1, season 2, you'll definitely like season 3. I think it's the better of all the seasons. 1 still has a special place just because was done really well. It's the first, but it's definitely better, in my opinion, than the second season. The character Bullseye was really cool. I don't know the full history on Bullseye, so much better than the movie.
So, to be fair, I actually enjoy the movie. I don't think it's good by any stretch, but I enjoy it. So, I watched a little spoiler for Minis and Movies 25. I watched Paycheck, which stars Ben Affleck. And woo, he is not great in that fucking movie. He is way better in Daredevil. That was one of the thoughts that occurred to me. I'm like, this was back before he had his. I don't know what happened that taught Ben Affleck how to act, but suddenly it happened. He started acting, and
but I mean,
it was not there.
The Bullseye character was really cool, really neat, really creepy. Definitely anew. I don't know his history in the comics. I just know who he is. But it was really cool. I liked what he did and how everything was done. Kind of plays. There's some really oh shit moments. You're like, oh well, shit. Yep, they just did that. So I mean, there's a lot of good stuff with it. I highly recommend it.
Awesome.
Okay, cool. I did actually watch a show.
What foreign police drama did you see?
Well, nothing new that I haven't already talked about. No, but Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Oh my gosh.
Was on. Yeah, so, and I'm a sucker for those. So, that was cool. It had Bela Lugosi's Dracula and, all the cast of characters. Lon Chaney's werewolf was in it. So, that's always cool. But I don't really have a huge review for it. I mean, I'd maybe take a couple shots of Kraken. It's just so silly. Wait, space herpes?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 space herpes. But totally worth it.
I was actually Lon Chaney Jr. also. Impressive.
Yeah.
So, John, what was your last one?
My last one was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Lionheart.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's better and worse than you remember. It's better because literally it is a bunch of action scenes put together with the thinnest but very perfunctory plot, very workmanlike plot of he needs to make money for his brother's family because his brother was doing drug deals and he was basically doused in gasoline and lit on fire because apparently in LA that's how gangs work. They sell you sugar instead of cocaine and light you on fire when you find out, even though they outnumbered him like 12-1 because he had no backup and no one watching him, and they could have just beat him up and left him. I don't really know. But aside from that, the rest of it makes, well, it doesn't really make sense, but it makes more sense than that. Because the idea is Jean-Claude Van Damme is in the French Foreign Legion, and apparently the French Foreign Legion isn't like any other military organization. They don't tell you when people call or need to get in touch with you. They just let you do your bullshit and don't want you to go, and they don't give you leave or anything. Which, from what I understand, is absolutely not true at all. But, hey, it makes for a good movie, and let's be honest, no one really knows what the French Foreign Legion is unless you Google it.
I did.
That's the one where they wear the funny hats.
They wear the hats, yes. And the French Foreign Legion is actually an organization of non-French who wish to fight, basically, for the French army.
Hence the foreign.
Yep. And they just spent a lot of time protecting them back in the expansionist age, let's say, from, their colonial territories and all, and not actually mainland France. But so they don't tell him that, his brother had been trying to contact him, his sister-in-law had been trying to contact him. So he beats up some guys and leaves because he's Jean-Claude Van Damme, and that's what he does when they don't let him. And honestly, it was the most heavy-handed bullshit ever. They're like, let's just throw him in because he's basically being a dick to them because they're being huge assholes. Like, let's throw him in the sweat box. So he not gonna let that happen. Beats up a couple guys, steals a Jeep, drives off. They drive after him, and then they come back going, well, we can't find him. We don't know where he went. And then he makes his way into a ship, has to beat up the head of the ship because he lied to him. He's like, you said you were going to L.A., and this is New York. I can tell it's New York because, rest in peace, Twin Towers. So he makes his way onto shore in New York by diving into the water, of course, and swimming, and comes upon a street fight. And, of course, he's Jean-Claude Van Damme. He whoops ass, so he gets in on the street fight. And the guy running it, black guy, very amusing, sees some merit in him, the way he whooped ass, so they split money, and he's like, oh, let me help you get what you want to get. I got some people who can get you more money, maybe help you get to L.A., So they sort of get in, and he talks to the modestly dressed people who apparently have this much more posh and lucrative street fighting ring going on. And they never explain what they do. It's just got I'm trying to remember the guy's name, Brian Thompson, I think it is. He was the bad guy in Cobra. He's been in a ton of movies. You would recognize him. And then some woman who walks the line between skank and businesswoman very well, because it's the late 80s, early 90s, and she...
Skank and businesswoman do kind of go together in the late 80s, early 90s. It's all about the big hair and the shoulder pads and the mini skirts.
Boom. That's
and I didn't even see it.
So they get them involved in a fight, and he's like, I just needed this money to give to my family, get to L.A. I don't want to fight anymore. So he and the black guy go to L.A. His family wants nothing to do with him because she hates him because plot. Bullshit. And basically he gets more fights. They convince him to fight more to get money for his family. The French Forward Legion's watching him there because, of course, they can send 2 French Forward Legionnaires to America to watch him and forcibly deport him because that's how laws work, right? Right?
Oh,
Not
sure.
right. So basically, it's just a bunch of fight scenes strung together, but the plot is perfectly serviceable if you are willing to forgive the forgivable. Bits of plot, it's fine. Obviously, the skanky businesswoman is trying to hit on him, wants him, sexually, in addition to him fighting for her. But he says no, of course, because it's Jean-Claude Van Damme. He doesn't go for that shit. And it's not heartwarming, though it does have some cool moments. Like, okay, cool, he's reuniting with his family. He's taking care of him. It's good. He and this black guy who becomes this sort of manager. Black guy's like, hey, look, they used me up and kicked me to the side. I don't want that to happen to you. Trying to help him. In the hands of more competent people, this would have been a very good movie. Not quite a Rocky, but could have been in that area. But it ended up just being another disposable Jean-Claude Van Damme action movie. It's not bad.
Fest.
Yeah, mediocre punch fest. None of the fights are that amazing. They're all okay. I really prefer Bloodsport if you want a punch fest. Bloodsport is much cooler, much tighter story. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth. But there you go. I would say it is half a Bloodsport, 0 Casablancas.
0 Casablancas.
It is a full 2.5 Space Herpes. It is the definition of an average action movie. This is one of those ones you
than
go,
Atlantic Rim.
well, no shit. I've not seen anything put to film that is worse than Atlantic Rim yet. And I don't think I want to. Manos the Hands of Fate probably wins, but the only time I see that, you've got the bots and all making fun of it, and it makes it better.
Yeah. Oh, and if you want us to watch any film that you think is shittier than Atlantic Rim, you go to our Patreon.
Don't do this to me, please.
Go to our Patreon and pay us to watch it and review it for you.
Yeah, you can do that. I don't. Oh, I've actually been going. I'm doing a thing in Minis and Movies where I'm just going to watch all 3 Expendables movies in order and review them. I've got actual benchmarks now that I'm reviewing on. I've decided just watching random shit movies is hurting my soul occasionally. If you guys request it, I will actually watch it. I will do my best. If you request it, it's free. I will watch it, but try not to hurt my soul. Please. Gonzo, save us.
Okay. This last week, hung out with a friend, hung out with Erica, and we watched Blade 2.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I like the Blade movies.
Which I was
No, you don't.
originally
Not that
thinking
much.
that it was Blade 3 with Ryan Reynolds, because that one always stuck with me, because there's a scene in there where Ryan Reynolds gets tortured, beat up, and stuff, and he's on the ground and he's doing his cracking jokes. And I remember when I originally saw that, go like, man, he would make a good Daredevil if they ever made a Daredevil. I mean, not Daredevil, Deadpool. And I said Daredevil too whenever I was at the store there. I was like, he would make a really good Deadpool if they ever made a Deadpool movie. And voila, here we are.
That's funny.
Which I thought that was
funny, because Ryan Reynolds can actually pull a full role. Have you seen Smoking Aces?
Yes. Yeah, he's good.
He's He's good in that. That's actually an enjoyable movie. Might
Yeah.
have to review that soon.
And so I thought that was it, and I went, oh no, it's Blade 3. So we watched Blade 2. It wasn't bad, but I mean, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, man, is this cheesy as fuck.
It is. Not even, God, what's his name? The guy who plays Hellboy can save it.
Ron Perlman.
Rob Perlman. Not even Rob Perlman can save it. It has some good moments, by memory. They didn't need to bring Chris Christopherson back. That was completely unfucking necessary.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just sitting there and I'm watching this and I'm like, wow, this was considered a good superhero movie back in the day. And I'm like, this movie,
Our standards were lower, Gonzo.
way lower. Way, way lower. The special effects have
Superman
not...
3 did okay in the theater.
Yeah. But I mean, it really... The special effects were definitely showing its wear. For the leaping around and jumping through the air and stuff. I was like, whew. Yeah, that's bad.
There's a core of an interesting movie here where vampires being preyed upon but by even weirder and more powerful vampires.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But, like, they didn't know what to do with this. Was back in the 90s when they had no fucking idea what to do with the sequel except continue to ramp it up.
Yeah. And they tried to ramp it up, and it didn't ramp up very well either, on top of that.
It is the Batman Returns to Batman that Blade 2 is that to Blade.
Yeah.
Where this went, what the actual hell is going on?
But I mean, like I said, it has a cool story, vampires feeding, mutant vampires feeding on vampires, so that's the reason why they have to get Blade to do it. And you know what's going to happen. It's all kind of common sense.
And, they're going to betray him at some point where they think they're going to win. But
yeah.
It's a cool core of a story. It is less than some of its parts.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it showed its wear. It did not age well.
Yeah.
There were plenty of times I was like, oh yeah, that was kind of cool. I remember that. And it had some decent lines, which I think was amazing. It had Norman Reedus in it, which, he's a very young version of him.
Very young.
Which I thought was interesting. I totally forgot that he was in there. But I still liked it. It was okay.
It didn't have as good a line as the first one, though.
No.
Always some motherfucker trying to ice skate uphill.
Yeah.
That's a deep line. You laugh. It actually is deep. I actually think that's good philosophy. Wow.
But I mean, overall, it wasn't bad. I would give it. And I'm pushing.
Good.
Yeah, like this, but I'm pushing 2 space herpes with it, just because you have to realize what time period.
I would probably give it 2.5 to 3 myself.
I can see 2.5
to be fair.
Yeah. Special effects are outdated. You can definitely see it. You're definitely going, ooh, wow.
So nostalgia memory has me giving it 2.5 shots of Kraken, which means I don't want to watch it again because it'd probably be worse. They had tried to have a love interest for Blade. That didn't end well.
Nope.
It was slightly poignant, if I remember correctly.
Well, it was, it was funny. Eric was like, why is this vampire dying slowly and... like this. Why is it only... Because she goes...
Because feels.
Well, here's the thing. Every other vampire dies in this explosion and blows up and does all this cool stuff. But no, these 2 guys, they just want to go slow and quietly. And he goes... Then at the end, when the woman dies, he goes, I understand. She goes, I can understand because it's the feels. But that motherfucker right there, he needed to die in an explosion. Because he was evil.
Oh, they do that sometimes for tenseness and trauma. Maybe Nope, he's dead.
No, he's dead. So,
Look, the bright side, Gonzo, it wasn't Blade 3.
No. See, what's funny is I like Blade 3 just because Ryan Reynolds in it and it's got some good scenes, but that's a bad one too. But we'll watch that.
I've only seen clips and I was like, the fuck?
Yeah, it's bad too.
Like when Wesley Snipes sued them over Blade 3 because it was so bad, I knew that was a hell of a sign.
But
yeah, so, that's what superheroes used to be. Everyone who's like, oh, too many superhero movies and Suicide Squad is terrible and Man of Steel is terrible. Watch the old superhero movies. Watch Superman 3 and 4 and you will change your opinion.
Yeah.
Oh my god. We're living in the greatest time for superhero movies compared to what we used to get.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, we got 4 technically we got 5 Batman movies back then, if you count Batman the TV series movie, and only one of them is actually good.
Yeah.
There are a couple others that are watchable. In fact, they're probably all watchable in different levels of watchability, but only one is actually good. We got 4 Superman movies, only 2 are good, and one of them doesn't hold up as well. In fact, nostalgia definitely keeps one of them holding up better than it should.
Yeah.
And if you look at the stuff today, I mean, I've rewatched Iron Man and all that relatively recently. Those still hold up pretty well.
Yeah. But I did have one other thing that was on there that I thought was an amazing fan thing that happened. If anybody's got, if anybody is Facebook friends with me, I did share, and you can find it on my Facebook page, this video that someone did of this makes The Last Jedi seem more and better. And it's like a montage of some fan that took the Skywalker family and did a thing where Yoda was talking about it. Talking about Jedis and talking about the Skywalker family and so on and so forth. And it was all spliced together, and it was scenes from all the movies up in it. And I teared up from it because it kind of, I mean, it hit the feels button just right. Whoever did that did an amazing job.
Let's be honest, aside from one weird Space Mary Poppins scene, the only problem with The Last Jedi is they don't explain certain things. They don't explain why Luke died, and the best thing I've heard, spoilers, Last Jedi, it's almost a year old now, suck it.
Yeah.
Is that he hadn't used the Force in so long, suddenly he uses the Force for huge effect, and it killed him. And you know what? That actually makes fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really put everything that's going on with the Skywalker, because it's about the Skywalkers. That's what Star Wars technically.
It is the story of Anakin Skywalker, his descendants,
Yeah.
and it'll be good. And I hate to say this, it'll be good when they finish off Episode 9 and they're done.
Yeah.
Skywalker story done. We need to get away from it.
Yeah. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But I mean, this this fan made. If you haven't seen it, go to my Facebook page, pull it up, watch it. It is really, 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 really good. Especially if you're a Star Wars fan, which everybody knows I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And it just really it makes everything work. It makes everything fold in and everything happen, because there's some good Carrie Fisher scenes in there, and you're like, yeah, fuck you, dude, for, putting that scene in there, because, whoever did it knew what they were doing, hit the right notes, hit the right feels, and it just was perfect, because they used scenes all the way from episode 1 to the current episode. So, I mean, it's all there.
I'll be honest. A lot of the problem we have nowadays, and this is going to be a little bit of a rant because I'm half drunk, maybe more than half, 3/4. We're spoiled.
We are.
Movie-wise, we're so spoiled. Like, when a movie like, oh, Solo was terrible, blah, blah, blah. My cousin said that. I'm like, what the fuck movie did you watch? I enjoyed the crap out of that movie. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to judge a movie on what it's not. And I have that problem occasionally. I like to take a step back and look and judge a movie on what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
That's why you can't judge a movie like, that's why you can't judge a movie like Lionheart too harshly, and you judge a movie like Blade a little harsher, Blade 2, because Blade 2 was trying to be more than it ended up being. Lionheart was trying to be exactly what it was. It's like Team America World Police. I can't judge it too harshly. It was trying to be exactly what it is. and we have to look at that and try and judge a movie what it's trying to be. You have to go with right expectations. One of the YouTube reviewers I listened to, Jeremy Johns, he did a review of Hunter Killer, which is a movie that came out of nowhere. No one was coming. It just started playing trailers 2 weeks ago and just came out. And he's like, I'm trying not to judge it too harshly because it's not trying to be Casablanca.
Yeah.
It's trying to be, slow time, action movie. Come watch us have fun. He said it wasn't terrible for that. It wasn't great. Some of these movies are not trying to be amazing, and sometimes we put them out there, like Kingsman. Kingsman came out, the first one, in February, in the movie Terrible Time, The Wasteland, and it was great, and everyone's like, oh, this is great. But then you push it up, and you start judging it by more than it's trying to be. It's just trying to be an enjoyable story sometimes.
Yeah.
Try and get the vibe of the movie, what it's trying to be, and try and judge it on that.
Xander and Crimson were saying, and Crimson made a joke that we are spoiled because we all grew up on Casablanca and Gone with the Wind. People got to realize that there's more to Star Wars than the Jedi, and it's a big issue. A lot of people can't get past that. But Solo was a good movie.
It was enjoyable.
It wasn't. I didn't find anything terribly wrong with it. I'm going to do a third watch through pretty soon, so I may review that next time we're on.
Let's do that because I'm watching it with the moms on that Sunday when you're at Warmshire Weekend.
Yeah, and we can do that
Maybe
one.
we can convince Kathy to see it again, or see it in the first
Which one?
place. Solo.
Solo? I still haven't seen Solo, so that would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
try
we
and
can do
take
that
it.
one. But I mean, we are kind of spoiled when it comes to, this thing isn't, a 10 out of a 10 movie, so it's crap. And I'm like, no.
Even if you judge
still
some of the
good.
old movies, like I'll be honest, I own Casablanca. I enjoy Casablanca. Casablanca is a terrible movie by modern standards because of what it's not trying to be what a modern movie is.
Correct.
It is made for a generation where you're willing to build a slower, more drama-driven story. People don't do that so much anymore. So, a lot of people will judge it like, this is terrible. Like, no, it's not. It's not for you, which is okay. And it's not what we're used to modern-wise, but you have to judge it differently.
Yeah. So.
That's why certain movies, to us, those being sort of action-y, sci-fi people, are more touchstones than others. Star Wars. Star Wars is paced great for then, for now, for everywhere. That's right, Crimson 1919. Go ahead and quote me. Put it on the back of the box. Remember, I own that movie and I enjoy it.
And with that said, that's the end of our podcast.